Hello everyone, welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Arena, and it's so nice to have you. We have now reached part 3 of my physical video game collection. And so far, we have gone over all the games that I have for my different PlayStation consoles. And in this video, we will be moving on to my Nintendo console games. These won't be quite as many as the PlayStation ones, so I can go over them in one video collectively. So today, I will be showing you all of my games for the Game Boy, the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo 3DS, the Nintendo Switch, and the Nintendo Switch 2. We do have a bunch of games to go through, so get comfy, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's go over all of my physical Nintendo games. I will once again be going from the oldest console to the newest console, so we will be starting with my Game Boy games. First up, we have an absolute classic and an all-time favorite of mine, and that is Tetris. I used to play this so much back in the day on my mom's old Game Boy, and I remember it absolutely stressing me out, but I also couldn't quit, so I did play this a lot back in the day, and I had a lot of fun with it. This was probably one of the first games that I personally ever played. Next up for the Game Boy, we have Super Mario Land. Now I remember this being one of my mom's absolute favorites back when she was younger. And I also remember giving it a try when I was younger, but I just did not have what it takes to get through an old Mario game where you can't save and you just have to raw dog the whole thing. I could not do it, and respect to everyone who really grew up on this. I did play this as a child too, but I grew up more on the Nintendo DS than on the Game Boy. This was a few years before my time. I was just a bit too little to really play with this when it came out or when it was popular. So I have more memories of my mom playing with these games than I personally played with them. Moving on, we have another Game Boy game that me and my boyfriend got together more recently, and that is Wario Land. He apparently used to play this all the time as a kid, and so when we saw it at a flea market, we absolutely just had to pick it up for nostalgia's sake. And I personally haven't played it. I should probably take an evening to get into this because I was always very interested in the Wario games, and it seems really, really fun, so I honestly have to give this a shot soon. And then we have already reached the last Game Boy game that I currently own, which I also picked up at a flea market not too long ago, and that is Pokemon Red. Now, I actually never got to play this myself as a child, but I remember playing it with a friend back then who had exactly this game, and I got to watch her play it and sort of backseat. But it was always fun enough, and I am so happy that I found this as an adult and got to play it now. I've played a few hours of this on the Game Boy so far, and it's just peak nostalgia to me, it really is. Also, do let me know which starter you usually go for in this game, because mine was Bulbasaur. I want to know yours. Let me know. So that was already it for my very small Game Boy game collection. I currently do not have more than this, and I'm also not really planning to expand too much on my Game Boy library as of right now. There's just other consoles that I currently enjoy more, like the PSP and the Nintendo 3DS, so I'll probably be focusing more on those and less on the Game Boy. That means we're already going to be moving on to my Nintendo DS games. As for my DS library, it is currently very small. I used to have a lot of games for this console because I used to play so much on it as a kid. But I have two little siblings, and when I moved out of home, I left them most of my Nintendo DS collection so they could play it because it was games that were a lot more suitable or catered towards children. Since I didn't see much of replayability for me personally anymore, I decided to just leave those with them. And so I now also only have 4 games in my current Nintendo DS collection, 2 of which I have here and 2 of which I only have cartridges. I have no idea where the case went, but it's okay. Let me show you what I have. So first up, we have Super Princess Peach. I used to be so incredibly obsessed with this game when I was younger. I did play a bunch of them, but I was never the biggest Super Mario fan. They were fun enough, but this is honestly the platformer game that has taken my heart. I loved this so much. I played through this a bunch of times when I was younger, and I just found the design of the game so adorable. I loved being able to play a typical platformer or Mario game as a princess, as Princess Peach. Being able to play a female protagonist had kid me so excited. And so I played this a lot, and I honestly think that this was a very fun game. Next up, we have my most favorite Pokemon game of all time, and that is Pokemon White Edition. Now, Zekrom is my favorite legendary, and this Pokemon game is my most favorite of the series. I absolutely loved the story. I loved N. And this is where I think the Pokemon visuals peaked. I adore the pixely little 3D sprites. And I honestly don't think that the classic Pokemon games should have evolved past these visuals. I think they have so much charm, and to me this is really the perfect visual style and the perfect format. I played this a lot as a kid, and I've really been wanting to replay it, but I'm currently playing so many Pokemon games at the same time that I feel like I have to wait until I'm really able to concentrate on this. But yeah, I'm really glad that I kept this over the years because apparently it goes for quite a bit of money at this point in time, and I would never want to miss this in my collection. Now, the other 2 games that I still have for the Nintendo DS specifically are without case, so I only have the cartridge to show you. And the first is Pokemon Pearl. There we go, here it is. This is also probably my second favorite Pokemon game. I also remember playing this so much when I was younger. I used to get together with friends and we would just play this game side by side on our Nintendos, and it was honestly just such a great time. Those were one of the best summers in my life. Last but not least in my DS game collection is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness. I think I got this gifted when I was younger by a friend who had the other edition, Explorers of the Sky, or whatever it's called. And so we also got to sit together and play this side by side, and I always really enjoyed playing this. It is a very different style Pokemon game, but it was just different enough that we would like spice up the Pokemon experience, and I really liked being able to play as a Pokemon. Now, these were it for my Nintendo DS game collection. I sadly do not have any more to show you than these, although I did play a lot more back when I was younger. I think most of them my siblings should still have, so maybe I'll have a little browse through their library at some point. A few games that I remember having were things like Nintendogs and Style Savvy, or I think I also had a Littlest Pet Shop game. So stuff like that. You can see what my library used to consist of. But yeah, that means we're gonna now move on to my 3DS game collection. And for that, I have quite the stack to show you. Alright guys, here is my stack of Nintendo 3DS games that we're gonna go over. And as you can probably tell, this is also a very beloved console of mine that I still use to this day, and I have a bunch of games for it that I still very much enjoy. So let me show you. Staying in theme, I'm gonna go over my Pokemon games first. And so the first game is Pokemon X. Now I remember getting this relatively close to launch, And I also remember getting about halfway through it and then never touching it again. You're gonna see that this is a very common problem that I have with Pokemon games, although I do very much enjoy them and I will binge them for like days on end. Once that binge stops, I'm not looking at them again until like years later. So this is sadly where I'm currently at. I played this like halfway through and then never touched it again. As you'll be able to see, I have a bunch of Pokemon games that I have yet to finish, and this is one of the goals that I set myself for this year, is that I would slowly go through each of them because I am a big Pokemon fan and I really enjoy these games, and so I don't quite understand why I can't sit down and finish one. Anyway, have this in my collection and it is yet to be finished, but what I played so far I really enjoyed. Next up, we have Pokemon Moon, and this has a very similar story. Last year, I did sit down and try to play this again because this also I played like halfway through and then have not touched it again. And so I really wanted to play more in my 3DS, and this was the game that I chose to start with. And I'm currently not very far into the game at all, but I've developed a bit of a strategy in what order I'm gonna finish all of my unfinished Pokemon games. This is somewhere down the line. Right now I'm focusing on other games that you're gonna see later, but I love the legendary design in this Pokemon game in particular. I love Lunala as a legendary Pokemon. It is so gorgeous. I am such a sucker for psychic and ghost Pokemon, so this is perfect. And I've never even gotten close to having it, and so I really need to sit down and finish this. Next up is the last Pokemon game in my 3DS collection, and that is Super Pokemon Rumble. Now, I used to play this a lot back in the day. This was such like a time killer for me. Whenever I had nothing to do, I just sat down and played this game until I got bored of it. And part of why I played this so much is because I think the Rumble mechanic is really fun, but also I am so in love with the Pokemon Rumble sprites. You can see them here. They look so silly. They're like polygony masterpieces and I love them so much, and looking at them makes me feel really good. That is also part of why I used to play this so much. Next up is another game that I still have from my childhood, and that is Style Savvy 2, I'll call it. In German it's called New Style Boutique, but I know that this series is called Style Savvy. So maybe it's New Style Savvy, I don't actually know. I should probably Google it, but you know what I mean. So the first part of this game series I played religiously back when I was younger, and then I got this, and I don't think that this one is as good as the first one, but I did enjoy playing it anyway. You can have your own little boutique, you can pick which vibe you want, you can do your little fashion shows and everything. And I always greatly enjoyed this. I am sort of fashion interested, but not in like traditional mainstream fashion. As you can probably tell, I am dressed more alternatively, and that had already taken roots back in this era. So yeah, fun little idle game as well that I played a lot back in the day. Next up, we have Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I played this game in hopes of really liking it and spending a lot of time with it, and then something unexpected and pretty embarrassing happened to me, and that is that I got stuck on the first monster. I wasn't able to kill it. I don't know if I understood the instructions wrong. I don't know if there was a quest I was missing, or, you know, I sort of didn't really have any idea what to do. And then they told me to kill this monster, and I did my absolute very best, but I just couldn't do it. And so I haven't touched it since then. Maybe I should go back and, you know, try to replay it now with the gaming knowledge and gaming skills that I have now. But back when I was younger, I really wanted to like this so bad, and then I immediately got stuck and never got to play the game at all, really. And that's my story with Monster Hunter. If you have any tips for me, if this is normal or if I'm just a big dumbass, do let me know. One day I will probably get to this, but that was such a humbling experience. I never touched it again afterwards. Next up is another one of my childhood favorites, and that is Animal Crossing New Leaf. This is probably the Animal Crossing game that I've played the most in my life. Since the 3DS was such an impactful console for me, I had it with me everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean that. I don't think there's much to say about this. You all probably know Animal Crossing. It is a very comfy little life sim game, and I had a blast designing my town. Next up is a game series that I very much adored, and I still do. If you have been watching my videos, you know that I am a huge mystery fan, that I am a huge fan of puzzle games. And that being said, a game franchise that cannot miss on my list is Professor Layton. Now, one of the games in this franchise that I have is Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask. And I used to have more, like for example, I used to have Pandora's Box and Lost Future as well for the DS, and I honestly have no idea what happened to them. I think I either gave them away or they're still with my siblings because I don't have them. So maybe I can still recover them, but if I gave them away for good, then I'll have to look at maybe repurchasing them secondhand or something. But I do have this one. As you can see, this one is carnival themed, and I am actually a huge sucker for all things carnival or like night circus, that type of vibe. And so I very much enjoyed the vibe of this game. It is totally your classic Professor Layton game where you solve all these puzzles, and it's sort of really good brain jogging. I do remember actually also really liking the story of this when I did play it. Next in line, we have Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy. So these two games are actually part of a prequel trilogy that happened before the story of the original trilogy. And so this is the last game of the prequel trilogy, and I also very much enjoyed this game. This one is very heavy on the mystery. I did actually really enjoy the visuals for this, like the little cutscenes in between stuff are very cute, and I liked the art style of that a lot. Next up, we have another one of my all-time favorite 3DS games, and that is Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I got this game back when I was younger on a whim. Like I remember I was just browsing like a media store, and then I found this game and I thought it looked really interesting, and I knew absolutely nothing about the franchise or this game. So I brought it home, sat down and played it, and legit did not stop for the next month or so. I enjoyed this game so much. I had no idea it was so heavy on strategy and turn-based combat, but I love turn-based combat so much. And so this was a very enjoyable game. There's also two different stories that you can experience in this game alone, and I have played both, and I enjoyed both of them very much. Next up, we have another very beloved franchise, and that is Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, I'll preface this by saying that I haven't played too many of the Zelda games, but this one was one of my favorites, only second to The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I played this a lot. I did very much enjoy it. I really liked how they incorporated the different mechanics that the 3DS had to offer. And overall, it was just a very immersive and really cool and artistic experience in a way. The music is absolutely gorgeous, and it was overall a very, very fun game. Next up, we have another The Legend of Zelda game, and that is A Link Between Worlds. I found the concept of this super interesting when I got it, and being able to switch between dimensions really added a lot of gameplay component. The puzzles were super fun. It felt really innovative and sort of new, like adding a little bit of spice to the franchise. I really liked the chibi-fied version, so to speak. The environment looked adorable, the level design was adorable. Overall, I just really liked the way that this game looked and played. So also another great Zelda title in my opinion. Next up, we have Sonic Generations. I was never a big Sonic not girly, but I found this back when I was younger and I was like, you know what, this looks really interesting. I want to give this a try. And then I think I played like half the stages and I was so frustrated with not being able to do well because I felt like the way this game plays is sort of clunky. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's a skill issue on my side. That could very well be. But especially the ones that look like side scrollers, I always was so bad at. So I just very quickly lost my interest, to be honest. Really not my favorite game in my collection. Never finished it. I'm not really planning to go back to it. So yeah, bummer that I couldn't really get into the Sonic games, but if you guys have a recommendation for me that is a more accessible Sonic game than this is, please do let me know because I do feel like I'm missing out on the franchise, but this game was not it for me. The second to last game in my 3DS collection is Super Mario 3D Land. So this game very heavily relied on the 3D world being present instead of being your typical Mario side-scroller. And I do have to say, when I started playing this, it tripped me out so bad. I did eventually get used to it and actually had a lot of fun playing through the different stages. Although I do remember definitely having a bit of a depth issue. I could never properly judge where my character was running. But like I said, fun enough experience. We've now reached the last game in my 3DS collection, and that is Super Mario Bros. 2. Now, I enjoyed this one a lot more than Mario 3D Land because you could play it with a friend, and so I got together with a friend and we had a blast playing this. We didn't always play the game as we should play it, but I think that's normal. It was just more Mario side-scroller fun, but this time you could experience it with someone else together, and that added social component just made this game so much more fun than your typical Mario game, in my opinion. Now that was it for all of my 3DS games. Here's the stack again. And that means we are moving on to my Switch games. So here is my little stack of Switch games that we're gonna look at now. I'm once again gonna be starting with the Pokemon games that I have for this console. And the first one is Pokemon Shining Pearl. Like I said, Pokemon Pearl is one of my most favorite Pokemon titles of all time. And so my boyfriend actually got this for me last year because I really wanted to have it and I wanted to re-experience it on the Switch. And so he got this for me as like a Secret Santa gift. So far, I have, I think, 4 badges. Not too far into the game yet, but this is the Pokemon game that I currently want to focus on most, play through it, and then move on to the next game because, like I said, I haven't yet finished this, and I have also not finished the other Pokemon games that I have for the Switch. And the next in line is Pokemon Arceus Legends. I have already played a few hours of this game. I bought this last year. It's not a mainline Pokemon game, but I have to say, so far I enjoyed this so incredibly much. It is very different, but it's also just a very relaxing experience to me. I did have a very hard time picking a starter in this game though, because all of the options are great. And their region-specific evolutions are also interesting. But I ended up going with Cyndaquil because the last evolution turns into Fire Ghost, and I am a sucker for Ghost-type Pokemon, as you already know. Very excited to continue this after I'm done with Shining Pearl. Next, we have Pokemon Violet. Now, I have very mixed opinions on this game, as probably a lot of people do, because the launch didn't go quite as expected. Visually, this is probably the least pleasing Pokemon experience that I've ever had. And I did get this on launch. I did play a few hours of the game and then ended up not touching it again, simply because for a while I was so disappointed with how this game looked visually that it kind of made me not want to continue. So that is where it sat for a long time. But a lot of people, despite the disappointing launch, have said that this this is actually quite enjoyable if you stick to it. So that is what I want to do. And I think this gen actually has a lot of cool starters and Pokemon that they introduced, and I do want to experience that. Next, we have the game that originally made me want to get a Nintendo Switch, and that is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I love Mario Kart, I love racing games, and this to me is the most fun party game that there is out there. I love getting a little competitive with my friends, and this one never fails to entertain. Just a great game to have for the Switch. Next game I have is Animal Crossing New Horizon. Now I know this game peaked in 2020, 2021, when everybody was quarantining because of COVID, but I did not have a Switch at that time, so the FOMO was huge. And once I got a Switch, I bought this game and then eventually started playing it as well when the hype was already long past. I do have to say it's an enjoyable game. It is visually very, very pleasing, and I think it looks very comfy and cozy, but I am also just a huge fan of the more pixely graphics that it had in New Leaf on the 3DS, and so I will have to say that I prefer the older one over this one, but that is not to say that this is a bad game. I think this was very enjoyable and I completely understand the hype that was around it at the time. Next up we have another party game, and that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now I do have to say I love watching like Smash tournaments and actual pro people play this game, but playing it myself, I am so incredibly bad. I have no idea what I'm doing, I have no idea what kind of combos I should be doing, and I'm honestly not into it enough to learn it. I salute to everyone who takes the time to really become pro at this game, because for me, whenever I play it, I just pick a character and button mash and hope for the best. Next game I have for the Switch is Princess Peach Showtime. Now I bought this because I was desperately craving another Super Princess Peach experience. And while this was a very fun game, it did not deliver the way I thought it would. I don't think I ever really finished this. I think I played like 2/3 of this game in one sitting and then didn't play again. So while it is fun enough, it did not catch me the way I thought it would, which was a little bit disappointing, but that is okay. Peach has really, really cool different looks in this, and each look comes with a different play style, which I thought was a very cool concept. I can't really talk badly about this. All I can say is that it just wasn't Super Princess Peach, sadly. Second to last game that I have for the Nintendo Switch is Splatoon 2. This was a gift from my family because they had bought 2 copies by accident, and so they gave me one. And I did give it a try, but I sadly have to say, Splatoon as a whole is wildly overstimulating to me. There are so many noises, there's so many colors, everything's happening so fast. It would take me probably a while to get used to it and get into it, but I just don't have the drive to really do that. And so I haven't ever really played this game. It's just been sitting on my shelf, and I think that's what it will continue to do. The last Switch game I have is one that I played a lot, and that is Just Dance 2023 edition. Now when buying this, I realized too late that this was just a code in a box. I know that it says it right here, but apparently I can't read. So to unlock its full potential, it does still require an extra Nintendo subscription that I really wasn't a fan of. Sadly, I do have to say that the Just Dance games really fell off just based on the fact that there's so much additional content that you have to buy via subscription. And I'm really not a fan of that. If I buy a game, I just want to have the full game and be done with it. Don't do this. I don't like this, but the game itself is very fun. I am a very big Just Dance fan. I have been since the Wii era. Also just a very fun party game that I love playing together with friends and having fun with. So that was my little stack of Switch games, and while I don't have any more physical copies for this console, I do want to talk about an honorable mention that I bought in the Nintendo shop and I have been really wanting a physical copy of. But shout out to Paranormicide. That is one of my favorite horror games for the Switch, and if you are a fan of ghost stories, of visual novels, and of detective stories, please do yourself a favor and check out this game. I enjoyed it so much. I've been really wanting to replay it, and I am definitely gonna go and hunt down a physical copy of this game because this is one of the most underrated visual novel horror games that I've ever come across, and I need more people to know about this game. Anyway, last but not least, we're gonna go over my Nintendo Switch 2 collection that currently only consists of one physical game. Now, I do have Pokopia for the Switch, but I don't have a physical copy of that, so that doesn't count. And I have very recently bought a second game for the Switch 2, and that is Fatal Frame Crimson Butterfly, the remake. Now, I've always wanted to try a Fatal Frame game, and while I did sort of want to start with the original games, I sort of just happened to stumble across this, and it wasn't that expensive, so I decided to get it on a whim. I haven't yet played it, but it looks to be absolutely gorgeous. I have always loved the concept of Fatal Frame and the very specific type of survival horror that it presents. And I am a huge sucker for survival horror of all kinds, and this one seems to be one of the most atmospheric ones there is. And while I'm still trying to hunt down the original games, more so I'm trying to look for the very first Fatal Frame game for the PS2. But while I do that, I thought, why not enjoy this remake while I'm at it, and I am already very excited to get to playing it. Maybe I'll include me playing it in a vlog. Let me know if you're interested in having another gaming vlog. I would love to know. But yeah, that's that for the Switch 2. There's only this. I don't have more of that to show you currently, but I am excited to grow my collection in that regard. Alrighty guys, that was it for my physical Nintendo game collection. Some of you might wonder, Alina, where the hell are your Wii games? Do you not have a Wii? What happened to that? I did have a Wii, and it used to be one of my favorite consoles ever. But that one also got sibling taxed and is currently with my siblings, together with all the games that I had for the Wii. If they one day decide they're not interested in the Wii anymore, I am hoping to get it back. But just to go over a few, I used to have Mario Kart, Wii Party, another Pokemon game that I can't remember the name of, but it had you playing as Pikachu and befriending other Pokemon. Anyway, Wii Sports, Just Dance, and just a lot of like fun stuff that I really enjoyed playing back in the day. Maybe I'll get it back one day. Maybe I'll just get another Wii if I stumble across a good deal, because I've always wanted to try the Wii exclusive Resident Evil games, so that would be my chance. But anyway, that is sadly why I can't show you any of my Wii games that I used to have at this point in time, but maybe that will change in the future. Do let me know, did you have a favorite game in my collection? What did you think was exceptionally cool? And is there anything that you would like to recommend to me for any of these consoles? I am always very excited to hear your recommendations for me, so be sure to drop that down below together with what's your favorite game for these consoles. That being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I also want to thank you for 1.8k subs on this channel. Once again, I am absolutely blown away by the growth that this channel is experiencing, and that is all thanks to you. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support, for all the likes, for all the subs, and all your comments. As always, I love talking to you, and I am very happy to see you enjoying my videos. Now that we're all through my game collection, do let me know what you want to see next. I have a lot of games I want to play and finish, so maybe we can do another gaming vlog if you'd like to see that. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear it. That's it for this video. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!